Welcome to Science 110 Environmental Science Online. My name is Peter Milligan, and I'm the Microbiology, Immunology, and Environmental Science Professor at the University of Maine in Augusta. I've been studying and teaching environmental science for 20 years, and I'm glad you have chosen to take this course online with me as your instructor. This course is delivered and assessed through Blackboard Academic Suite, as well as esciencelabs.com. If you have used Blackboard before, you've used Blackboard before, then you should be familiar. If not, then you have a slight, small learning curve to find out where things are online. The course runs from Monday through Friday, January 19th to May 2nd, 2016. And during that time, all exams and assignments that are due during any week must be posted by noon Friday of the week they are due, or they will not be accepted. The Blackboard software is designed to give you and me areas to view presentations, share ideas, and post work. Recorded MP4/YouTube videos for the week will be posted under course content, as well as the accompanying PowerPoints in a separate folder for that lecture. Other postings will be weekly or bi-weekly online discussions of class questions and do-at-home laboratories. The laboratory kits can be purchased at the UMA bookstore, and instructions for doing the labs will be online at esciencelabs.com. All exams are also online through Blackboard as well. The Blackboard discussion board will be monitored by me weekly, and my answers to emails with important questions about class material will be posted in the announcement section of Blackboard so that the entire class may benefit. I suggest checking the discussion board and announcements a couple of times a week once the class gets going. When you have a question for me during the course, first check these areas to see if it's already been answered. And if not, it is best if you email me directly at peterm@maine.edu so I can make sure I get to your question. I'll attempt to reply to all emails emails made during the week within 48 hours. In general, I do not reply to emails sent over the weekend until the following Monday. In addition to email, I have an online office hour on Thursdays from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. through Google Plus Hangout. You can access Google Plus Hangout through your UMaine email account, and you'll be getting notifications when I'm online in case you want to log in and ask questions at that time. I also have physical office hours in Augusta on Monday afternoons, Wednesday for about an hour at lunchtime, and some Fridays. My office is in 102 Jewett Hall, where you're welcome to come in and talk. However, due to heavy meeting schedules and student advising, it's always a good idea to make an appointment first if you want to meet with me in person. And if you can't make these office hours and you'd like to meet with me in person, email me and I will find the time to see you. I want to talk a little bit about assessments and then go over the syllabus briefly. Class assessments, tests, laboratory exams, discussions, things like that will occur all online. The exams for this class will have both a take-home essay component that students will complete in the 5 to 7 day period, depending on when I post it, and a timed test component that students will take within the exam week through Blackboard. Students will also be assessed through an online discussion section, and it's important to participate in all discussions in a timely fashion. So in order to get credit for all your discussion threads, they have to be participated in within 2 weeks of the posting. Please read the syllabus carefully and see how the class is graded and what you're responsible for. Even though I'm about to go over it, it's a good idea to read it. In addition to discussions and exams, will also be multiple laboratory exercises that are scheduled, and some assessment or another is usually due every week the class is in session. Most of these so-called assignments are not very large, but are designed to impart specific concepts and at the same time keep students, you guys, engaged with the online class as we go along. So keeping tuned in every week and turning in assignments in on time is very important to your success in this class. Once an exam week is over, the lab assignments and the discussion sections leading up to that exam week will no longer be available to students. This means that you will not be allowed to make up the entire semester's worth of work at the end of the term. So right now I want to take a look at the syllabus. How do I do it? So this is what the syllabus looks like. It's posted under syllabus. There's also a listing of all of the assignments that are due in a list so that you have a schedule of due assignments for each week. The first page, after you read it through, in general, you should go back and take a look at the first page. It shows my contact information up here, as well as lecture and lab objectives for the course. And then specific course outcomes that everyone should be able to do by the end of the course. In general, I am not in my office very often, so even though my phone number is up here to my office, it may be days and sometimes even longer than a week before I get to that. So the best way to contact me is to email me either through the Blackboard page or by just emailing peterm@maine.edu. The second page of the syllabus outlines the requirements to complete the course, as well as the required textbook and lab kit that must be purchased to do the work. The text is an online document that you purchase access to for a period of 1 year. Buying the text this way saves students lots of money and also works well with the online modality we're using. So, where it says required text, you'll see that the text is the Environmental Science System and Solutions 5th edition by McKinney, Sloch, and Janovic. You purchase the access code for the what they call the published ebook edition directly through J&B Learning at that website, jnblearning.com. The ISBN is below. You purchase the access code for your ebook and then at the website and save that access code, because that access code is your only connection to getting the book. Once you have the access code, you go to http://publish.jblearning.com ebooks. You set up an account there, your own publish account, and you use the access code to redeem your text, right? So once you sign in, you redeem your access code by entering the 10-digit access code that you've purchased, and then the book will appear on your ebook shelf for about a year. I think it's about 1 year. When you want to go back to your ebook shelf at any time, you go to publishing.jblearning.com/ebooks to sign into your account and select access to your ebook shelf, and then you can read the text. The lab kits are put together by eScience Labs, and it's an environmental science lab kit that's fairly easy to use and is, aside from maybe 1 or 2 in the beginning, are very, very simple labs with very, very, very simple, straightforward concepts. To purchase the lab kit, you go through the UMA bookstore, and I believe they will send it to you, or you can pick it up. All labs are designed to be done at home, in your kitchen, or on the table that can get wet. In order to get the instructions, you have to log in, for each lab, you have to log in at eScience Labs website and get access to your resources, such as instructions and the support materials for the laboratory, as well as the answer sheets and documents that you have to fill out and pass in order to get credit for doing the labs. This access code for getting online is on the inside of the lid for the lab. So if you get a lab kit, you open it up, and then as you take the lid off, you look on the inside, you should have an access code. If you do not have an access code, you got to bring it back to the bookstore and say there is no access code. This is very important. You want to write this down, save it in 7 places. You don't want to lose it. Once you have the access code and the actual physical kit, you can go to the esciencelabs.com website and then create an account by clicking on Create an Account on the top right side of the page. At that point, you choose a new username and password and add the rest of your information, and then click Create New Account. Once the account is created, click on Have a Code, also on the right-hand side, upper side of the page. And that's when you enter your access code and get access to all of the materials explaining on how to do each lab. On the third page is how I grade, or explains how I grade the course. There will be no surprise quizzes or surprise grading here. Everything's basically laid out in the syllabus, and unless there are some major problems like snow days or something is going on that prevents a lab from functioning in a certain way online or something like that, then that's when all the assessments are due. So you already have that information. In general, I don't do makeup tests. You can't assume that there's a makeup test for this class. You need to keep up, and if you for some reason are going to need a makeup test, then you're going to have some kind of documented excuse. All assignments, whether they're exams, lab reports, discussion sections, are due the Friday at noon of the week that they are due. So the week starts on Monday. Every week is dated for that Monday, but everything due that week has to be in by noon of that Friday of that week. I don't accept late work, and on the rare occasion I do, I downgrade it. And some of these labs are only 10 points, so if you get downgraded 5 points, you're getting downgraded half the amount of the lab or assignment. So get things in on time. It's very important. There's 50 of you, there's a lot of assignments, and we can't stop moving forward if we're going to be successful. And to be successful in the course, you have to complete all of these assignments. So you need to attach submissions to a lab assignment. So the lab assignments will be in the lab folder. They're in Blackboard as assignments. You click on them, there'll be a place for you to attach whatever attachments you need to do for that week. It could be 1, it could be 2. All materials have to be submitted in the same assignment attachment. You can't go back and do multiple attachments to the same assignment. You can't go back and keep clicking on the assignment button. I need them all at once. And you cannot directly email them to me, or I will not, because I will not accept them. You must make sure that they are correctly submitted. When you submit a laboratory file, you got to make sure that your name, your full name, the lab number, and the experiment number for the lab is in the title of the file. Not the title at the top of the page, but the title for the actual file you are saving. So for example, my name, lab 1, experiment 1, and then I called this data and tables and assessment doc for that. All that information needs to be in the saved document title. That way I can see who it is, what lab it is, and what experiment it is, and which sheet it is, because some experiments have more than one submission. So you can download these documents from the eScience website, fill them out to do the lab after reading the instructions, and there's also videos and things like that, and then submit them through Blackboard assignment to me for grading. The discussion topics will be posted in the announcement section of Blackboard the week they are assigned, as well as in the discussion section or discussion link of Blackboard. There'll be 3 sets of discussions that correspond to the 3 exams during the semester. Each discussion set will only be open until the corresponding exam due date. So in other words, if there are 2 or 3 discussions before exam 1, you will have access to them until the end of the first week of the exam week for exam 1, at which point you will no longer be able to participate. So you cannot go back at the end of the term and start participating in discussions that pertain to an exam that was taken at the beginning of the semester. Each discussion will only be open until the corresponding exam. I already said that. So, and I'm not accepting submissions for a given set after that exam is due for that period. So you have to keep up with the discussions. They're not difficult. I will make another video about discussions and try and explain to you what I'm trying to get you guys to do. Often people post information on discussions without actually having discussions. So I think it's important to try and talk to each other on the discussion board, and it's probably the hardest thing to get going, but I'm going to record a video with some examples to show you what we're trying to get going here. In general, I don't give extra credit in the class, but there are lots of opportunities for points. Here's how the course is graded. There are 3 100-point exams for 300 points. There are 9 laboratories, 175 points total. There are 7 online discussions for 70 points, 10 points apiece, and there are a total of 525 points. If you want to know your grade at any time, you simply take the number of points you have so far. Let's say you have 240 points, and then you divide it by the number of points possible to that to that date. And let's say that it is 290 points are possible at that date. You get a number and then multiply it times 100, and you have 82%. If you need help calculating that number at any point during the course, I would be glad to help you out. The grade average is determined, this is what I just said, dividing the total points earned during the semester by the total points possible and multiplying by 100. And then letter grades are as follows. I don't give minus grades in this course, so if you have a 90 to 100, you get an A. If you get 87 to 89, you get a B+. But if you get an 80, you get a B here. For that reason, because there's no B- here, and 80 is a B, any percentage point, any decimal or percentage point, I round down to. So let's say that you get a 79.7 average, you still get a 79 and a C+ for the course. This is all to your advantage, and you'll see it's also to your advantage that I do not assign letter grades until the end of the course. In general, incompletes are discouraged. They're at my discretion, only under unusual circumstances, and only when you've completed most of the coursework. You can request them. There's a form you can submit to me. I'm not sure exactly where you have access to that, or you can contact me and talk to me about it. In general, the few times that I do it, they have to be made up within a semester, or you'll receive the grade that you've earned based upon the coursework completed. When you do work, do not copy things off the internet and paste them in and say it's your own work. Every week I'll take some random samples from student writing. I will submit it to CourseSmart. They will check it to see if it's been copied from another document. Anything that's been copied from another document will be considered plagiarism and cheating. I want you to write your own words to me. I don't really need to know what the internet is saying about the questions I'm posting. I already know the answers. So please do not do that. All right. So here's the lecture schedule. Here's the lab schedule with some notes about laboratories. One thing you should be aware of, I did not do all the laboratories that are in the eLabs environmental science laboratory, so there's 2 or 3 we're not doing, and that means that my lab numbers don't necessarily correspond to the lab numbers online. So you have to make sure you look at the scientific method lab, which is the same number, or how to write a lab report or data measurement. You look at the title as well as the number and make sure you're doing the correct lab. If for some reason, I think population biology might be lab number 8 online, but it's lab number 4. We're doing it the 4th lab in our class, right? Now below saying what lab we're starting and what it is, you'll also see in this column what is due that week. So this week we did in the first week we're looking at lab 1 scientific method, where you do the scientific method experiment 1, and then week 2 you must turn in lab 1 scientific method experiment number 1 data sheet, right? And there are the points for that. So every time you have to turn something in, I put the number of points that it's worth, right? And that's what you have to turn in that week. Now we go and do lab 2 experiment 1 on week 2, but it is due week 3. So you see, you start it there and you turn it in this week. Whatever is highlighted, you're starting. Whatever has points associated with it, you have to turn in that week. I think it's pretty clear. It's a lot of information written in these boxes. If there's any questions about it, just email me and I will clarify. So, for example, in week 3, it says lab 3 data measurement. It says do all the worksheets. So you're going to do all these 5 worksheets for lab 3, but they are not due until week 4. What is due in week 3 is the lab 2 worksheet you are working on here. Can you turn it in before week 3? Absolutely. Can you turn it in after week 4? You shouldn't. If you get behind, it's okay, as long as you catch up by exam week. Right? Exam week for the first exam is 4 weeks into the course, right? And so labs 1 through 3 and lab 4, experiment number 1, must be in at the end of this week. If you do not do that, you will not be given credit for those assignments. Then after break, we start again. We do lab 5, energy sources and renewable energy. That week, lab 5 is actually, the worksheets are due that week because they're easy to do and pretty straightforward. So you're going to do it and turn it in that week. In the next week, we're doing lab 6 ecosystems. In lab 6 ecosystems, we're going to do, I suggest you do the pre-lab questions on your own and then do experiment 2. Okay, but it's not due until the next week. What's due that week is the other part of lab 4 that takes 3 weeks to do because you're growing things. And lab 5 experiment 2. Because you're doing 2 experiments here, you're turning in 2 things for lab 5 the week they start, and then another one the week after. The next week, we're starting water quality and contamination. Do the pre-lab questions yourself, and then do experiments through 1 through 3. What is due this week is lab 6 that you started the week before, and lab 7 pre-lab questions. At this point, you're going to turn them in for points. Oops. I didn't number this one. This is the water contamination, water quality and contamination. It's continuing. It's continued from the week before. That's why I didn't label it. So this one's going to take over 2 weeks, and then lab 7, sheets 1 through 3 are going to be due in this week, starting 3/14. Then the next exam comes up. So labs 4 experiment 2 and labs 5 through 7 must be turned in. All the sheets must be turned in by the end of this week, or you won't get credit for those labs. Then there's another break. The last third of the course, we start with lab 8. We're only doing 2 labs over the last quarter. Lab 8 is air quality and pollution, right? You do the pre-lab questions, do experiment 2, right? And then post lab 2, experiment 2 here that same week. The next week, lab 9 on weather and climate starts. You do the pre-lab questions, but you don't have to turn them in. and you do experiments 1 or 2, and they are due the next week. That final week, we have another exam. Oh, actually, we don't have the exam until May 2nd. But that final week before that exam, you have to finish labs 8 and 9. You have to be interned before exam 3 in order to get credit. The same type of thing happens with discussions. The exam week, the first online discussion section is closed. No more availability. The second exam, the second set of online questions is closed, and etc., etc. This is so that you are actually participating in the discussion questions that are relevant to the exam material that we are looking at that time. So, to get things started, I would like each of you to post a short bio on the Blackboard discussion board under online discussion set number 1. Let us know who you are, why you're taking this class, and what your expectations are for the course. I look forward to meeting you online, and I think this will be a great semester.